How's Ashley doing? Kids doing okay?
She's doing good.
Welcome to Wellness Warriors, a podcast addressing the root causes of illness and their natural solutions. And now your hosts of Wellness Warriors, Dr. Justin Lane and Michele Schroeder.
Well, hello, Dr. Justin Lane.
Hey there, Michael. How you doing?
Good. And Miss Michele
Michael.
Schroeder with one L and one E. You'll get that at the end of the podcast, guys. Won't we? Oh, we had a great last show about stress. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, but I need your help with something else, and that is, I'm exhausted. I'm completely exhausted. I'm worn out by the end of the day, and by the time it's time for me to go to bed, I'm so tired I can't go to sleep. What do I do? Am I the only person in the world that is having this problem?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
So many people have trouble sleeping. That's a huge topic. We're going to try to summarize some of that today.
So what's going on with my body when I'm not sleeping well? Is it hurting my autoimmune system? What's happening? Yeah.
Such a variety of things
Yeah,
that could be going on.
yeah.
It's really hard to say for sure what's going on with your body. In a case like that, it could be unmanaged stress.
Oh.
Maybe you've overstressed yourself through that day and you have unmanaged stress. But there's a lot of other things it could be, and I don't know if I should go into that yet.
Well, yeah, let's. I
Yeah.
think that was
Okay.
one thing. It can be your blood sugar, Michael. If you have high blood sugar or irregular blood sugar, your diet, in other words, that can keep you up at night, right? Overstimulated. The obvious things. A lot of people don't think that, though, when they talk about food and blood sugar. They think, well, I ate dinner 4 or 5 hours ago, but what exactly did you eat? Where are you at with your blood sugar journey? Are you diabetic, pre-diabetic? Where are we at with that? So that's a big one. A lot of people just have poor eating habits or poor discipline, poor nighttime routines. So stimulation's a big one, particularly nowadays with all the electronics and the lights and everything else. So some people are just overstimulated with the electronics. When you see this with children, young children in particular, they're up and down with the sun. That's really how we should all be living in theory, is up and down with the sun. They don't have the electronics. They haven't been conditioned. Their brain hasn't been overstimulated. So it's beautiful to see, actually, if you have grandchildren or young children, because when they're really young, it's just they're up and down. They're in rhythm with nature.
That's if you keep them off the screens.
Yes.
I've seen some kids that are a little dysregulated because they spend so much time on screens, and they're starting to get dysregulated over that.
Absolutely.
And they're probably looking at their iPhone or iPad at night while they're in bed and can't figure out why they're not able to sleep.
Yeah, to
Right.
all parents, do not use screens for a babysitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It affects a lot of things. That's just a whole nother topic, but I wanted to kind of interject on diet a little bit, because there's a few things. Diet, that the average American diet right now is a stressful diet.
Yeah, half the country's pre-diabetic.
Yeah, and it puts stress on the body. It imbalances our blood sugar. But there are some other things we do with diet that are detrimental to sleep. And one of them is having caffeine too late in the day. Caffeine has a 7-hour half-life. So if you drink caffeine at noon, its half-life is at 7 o'clock. If you're drinking caffeine later than that, you could be still affected by it by the time it's time to go to sleep. And different people have a different way of metabolizing caffeine than others. I know if I have a piece of dark chocolate right before I go to bed, I don't sleep very well. I notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's chocolate, it's energy drinks, it's coffee, tea. There's a lot of different ways people are getting caffeine, and maybe they're drinking it too late in the day or too much of it.
I would be curious to know that, actually. How many Americans are drinking like 2 or more energy drinks a day?
I caramba.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's gotta be
Yeah,
up
I
there.
mean, I have people that say, "Oh, I can have an energy drink like it right before I go to bed and fall asleep." But what they don't realize is it probably affects the level of sleep. And one of the stages of sleep, you're not going to get the deep sleep that you really need. And then I'm going to do one more thing about diet. Back to that, you're talking about not having sugar. That's true. You don't want to eat a lot of sugar at night or really any time. But some people do need to have like a starchy vegetable before dinner, that really helps support sleep.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to do a really low fat or a really low carb diet, it actually can hinder your ability to go to sleep.
Yeah, so that's a good distinction that Michele made, because there's trouble with falling asleep. Some people have that problem more so than staying asleep. Other people, it's no problem falling asleep. I can't stay asleep. Other people can't fall asleep or stay asleep. And other people can't fall asleep, stay asleep, or when they do get to sleep, they wake up and they're still tired. And maybe they have slept 8 hours or 10 hours and they're still tired. So,
Do you remember a couple podcasts ago when we were talking about a similar subject, and I told you that I ate an apple at
Yeah.
10:30 at night, and I was wide awake, and then I was reading that an apple has about the same amount of sugar as an energy drink, and that was really an unwise thing for me to do. So based upon what I learned from you guys in one of those in our podcast, I started doing some personal research. Can you believe it? We should all do some personal research.
yeah.
And I discovered that if I eat like nuts, like almonds or cashews, or walnuts, and so I eat 6 walnuts, like an hour or so before I go to bed. I'm telling you,
Magnesium,
I
selenium.
by the time it's time to go to bed, I go right to sleep.
Mhm.
I don't wake up in the middle of the night unless I have to go to the bathroom. But then I just go right back to sleep. So, what you guys told everybody in that podcast really helped me. So I no longer eat apples at 10:30 at
Yeah.
night. So I'll have like 6 walnuts.
And that's a healthy fat.
Yeah.
I'm good to
Healthy
go.
fat.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
mentioned fat
Mhm.
last time.
Yep.
We have to have protein, fat, and fiber.
Mhm.
Yep. And then there's one more dietary mistake people make.
Yes.
And that sometimes people are like revved up from the day. They're under a lot of stress. And then they will have a glass of wine and try to calm down that way.
Mm.
I had a client not too many years ago. She'd gotten one of those apps that kind of tells you how your sleep is. And she noticed that every single time she had a glass of wine at night, she didn't get into deep sleep. And that's actually true. So alcohol can prevent you from getting into deep sleep. It might relax you initially, but it will interrupt some of the sleep patterns that you need to be. And deep sleep is where all the restorative stuff happens. That's where your memory is improved. That's where your inflammation goes down, and where tissue repair happens. And if you're not getting any of it, you're not going to heal from any chronic illness.
So to your point, people who work third shift, they've done all these research on,
Yeah.
right? People who work in the middle of the night, they tend to have more chronic illness. Cancer, autoimmunity, they're not sleeping. They should be, because it's the middle of the night, and it's negatively affecting their immune system. So there's a health risk to that. You work third shift, again, sometimes not avoidable, just depending on the situation you're in. But long term, if you're doing that, you're really going to have usually some chronic health problems.
That really makes a lot of sense. You mentioned something interesting that I've had some personal experience with, if that's okay.
Mhm.
You mentioned tissue repair.
Mhm.
It's deep sleep is beneficial to that. So there was a time in my younger days when I was unwise and did stupid things.
Imagine that.
I know it's hard to
I didn't
believe.
have any unwise
Right.
days.
I know. I seem so in control now. But I had 3rd-degree burns over
Wow.
a large part of my body and my chest and my arms from gasoline. And in fact, they were so bad, you could see there was a hole in my chest right here,
Wow.
and you could see my rib, which was
Wow.
a unique experience. And one of in addition to all the other things that was prescribed, but was told me is that you need to get a lot of sleep. And, they actually gave me some things to help me to sleep, because they said, just take these. It's more important that you sleep.
Yes.
Don't do anything. Just lay there. If we need to put you into an induced coma, we'll do that. But you just need to go to sleep. And so that's what I did. And I'll tell you, that in combination with some other things, the tissue from 2nd and 3rd-degree burns healed perfectly. I have 0 scars. You cannot
Wow.
tell that I was burned at all. So I'm a big believer in it with proper nutrition and sleep and some things like that. So
That's one of the first things we address actually with our clients, because it's a trigger. If you're not sleeping, you're not healing.
right.
And we work with a lot of, menopausal women who are going through it with hot flashing and night sweats. So that's often the first thing we need to solve is we need you sleeping through the night as much as you can so you can start to heal. And boy, it's night and day difference when we address that.
And just one, it's kind of a cyclical thing, because like if you have a lot of inflammation, it will interrupt your sleep. But then if you have poor sleep, then you have more inflammation. So one of the things that Dr. Lane does is he really addresses inflammation right out of the gate. And I notice that as people change their diet, eat anti-inflammatory, take some supplements that help improve inflammation, the first thing I hear from him, like a week or two in, is like, I can't believe it. I'm finally sleeping. I sleep so much better. And so it's not rocket science. It's get the inflammation down by your behavior, by your diet, by your stress management, and it helps a lot. And then you can also improve your sleep hygiene and get in tune with your circadian rhythms to make sure that you're like the child, getting up with the light and going to bed when it gets dark, not having all kinds of false light on in your eyes all the time before you go to bed.
So what are some easy steps that anyone, including me, that we can do to start improving our sleep levels so we heal, we don't destroy our immune system and things like that? What are some common solutions that we can use?
I always think a starting point is your nighttime routine. What is it? We want to find that out because usually we'll find some things that are affecting your sleep quality, your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. Stimulation.
That's when I bring up all the subjects with my spouse that I want to talk about. Not.
Yeah, right. Not the best time for that. Right before bed. Yeah, my family members used to always say, you never want to go to bed angry. You don't want to be angry at your spouse or your children before you go to bed. It was just one of those things in our family. It was like a no-no. So if you got to deal with something, deal with it before bedtime.
Yeah, I've learned to only do that maybe at lunch, because if I have it before bedtime, next thing I know, it's 1 a.m. and we're still going at it and nobody's getting some sleep.
Right.
So it's like, okay, we're going to have an argument. How about today at 2:30?
Right.
Let's make it a little earlier in the day.
Yeah, so we can get over it and then go to sleep.
Yeah, but that's really, that to that point is, you don't want to do anything stressful right before you're trying to go to sleep. Not even watch a very stressful movie that has you all wired up. You want to make sure that you're bringing your stress level down. Take an Epsom salt bath,
Yes,
or
that's
read
a
a
good
book. Don't read it
yeah.
on with a backlighting. Read it with light over your shoulder. Make sure the book's not too stressful. Just something fictional that's not necessarily a murder mystery or whatever. Making sure that you just bring your I would say about an hour before you want to go to sleep, that full hour, you want to be doing calming things, calming music,
Low
aromatherapy, low lights.
Soft lighting, yeah. Magnesium baths, Epsom salts, those are great.
Yeah, and then when you prepare your room for sleep, you want to make sure that it's dark. Your body can sense light even through your clothes. Like if you're just laying there with a pair of pajamas on, your body can sense light. So it's really good to have blackout curtains. You want to have night lights turned off or unplugged. All of your technology out of the room. No dinging. No lights popping on.
Yeah, the bedroom's for two things: sleeping and what else?
Intimacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleeping. I remember that. So sometimes at night I'll have my cell phone, another part of the room. I'll just put on some soft music or like ocean waves and stuff like that. Maybe, and I flip it upside down. They have one that's a black screen. There's no light. It's a black screen, and I listen to that, and then I'm gone. I think that and the walnuts kind of knock me right out. Yeah.
Yeah. Sound waves. There's like a lot of sleep apps you can get. I do recommend that people don't they're not hooked up to the EMFs. Like they're not hooked up right directly to the phone. Maybe put it away from you, across the room. I don't know all the best way to do it, but that can be a problem for people too. Is if they have, I like to put my phone on airplane mode if I have it in my room, just to.
I wonder how many people are sleeping with their phones nowadays. Because
A lot.
when I'm doing treatments in the clinic, people like to have their phone like on the table
there.
next to them. And I'm like, no, put this away.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I wonder how many people put it under their pillow. And
Oh, I tried that once. It was horrible. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to listen to music under the pillow so nobody else can hear it but me. And that was a mistake.
yeah,
So I don't do that anymore. But
Another thing that can, sorry, I just thought of another thing that
Yeah,
can
that's
interfere
good.
with sleep, and that is if you have like food sensitivities. Usually try to do an elimination diet with most of my clients. Most of them are autoimmune, so it's a good idea. But even if they just have a lot of gut disturbance, it's really good to find out if they have any food sensitivities. And Dr. Lane can do testing to find that out. So if you have that, it can impact your sleep because it raises the cortisol. It's a stressor in your body.
it can increase your pulse rate, increase your heartbeat.
Yep.
It can stimulate you too much.
Yep.
Wow. So if somebody has questions about sleep disorders, and what they can do to get a better night's sleep, how can they contact you, Dr. Lane, for more information?
They can reach us at elementalnaturalmedicine.com. That's our website. Call us. We schedule complimentary consultations. That's a good starting point, really,
Okay.
to assess your health. So,
Okay. Michelle,
Yeah, KMichelleSchroeder.com. 1 L on Michelle.
how many K's in K?
Just K as in Karen. I'm a Karen.
Michelle Schroeder. The letter K, not the word K.
Correct.
Great.
Yeah.
May I give a teaser for our next show?
You bet.
This is going to be good. In the next episode of Wellness Warriors, we're going to be uncovering how hidden environmental toxins can quietly trigger autoimmune flare-ups, and what a simple step is, and many simple steps you can take to get back on track.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think you're going to jump in on this next one with the personal experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You can always count on me
Yep.
for the personal experience. Hey, you guys, thanks a lot for being here today.
Yeah,
And
thanks
Our
for having
pleasure.
us. Yeah.
we'll see you guys again next time with another exciting adventure in the world of the Wellness Warriors.
This has been Wellness Warriors, giving people the knowledge to have a healthy and vibrant life. For more information, elementalnaturalmedicine.com and KMichelleSchroeder.com. We invite you to join us next time for another edition of Wellness Warriors.
28.